In effect, the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has broken out again. On the 7th, local time, Hamas launched an attack by firing thousands of rockets targeting the central part of Israel, centered on the southern part of Israel adjacent to the Palestinian Gaza Strip, and areas near the capital Jerusalem, causing numerous casualties. When did Israel and Palestine start fighting, and why are they fighting? Israel. We have come to take back the land we were promised. In the 15th century BC, the region of Israel was the promised land mentioned in the Bible. The Jews lived here, establishing the ancient kingdom of Israel, but it was later occupied by Rome, and the Jews they lived scattered all over the world. Palestine, which had been ruled by the Romans, came to be ruled by Muslims in 637 when Muslim Arabs won the war against Rome. The Nazi regime sparks Zionism. Then one day, Jews who had been living scattered all over the world gathered in Palestine to return the land that had been recorded as theirs in the 15th century BC. This is the influence of Zionism that arose in the late 19th century. Zionism refers to the Jewish nationalist movement of ancient Jews that aimed to build a Jewish nation-state in their homeland of Palestine. Zionism believed that the reason Jews were persecuted was because there was no Jewish nation-state or Jewish land. The German Nazi regime is largely responsible for the reason why Jews so urgently sought their own land through Zionism. During World Wars I and II, Jews suffered unspeakable pain and tragedy. Through these events, the Jews developed a deep desire to have our own land. Britain. Double contract with Jewish and Arab peoples. So, we decided to decide on a territory and gather there to live. So why did they decide that Palestine, where Muslims already live, is their land? This is largely the UK's responsibility. Conclusion: first of all, Britain made a dual contract to give land in Palestine to both Palestine and Israel. With the defeat in World War I, the Ottoman Empire lost its place in Europe. Several great powers were eagerly trying to take over the lands of the Ottoman Empire, and in this situation, Arab leader Sharif Hussein, an Arab leader appointed by the Ottoman Empire. People of various religions lived within the Ottoman Empire, had to make a decision. They sent a letter to a British diplomat asking them to promise to fight alongside Britain against the Ottoman Empire and to establish an Arab nation in the Middle East if Britain were victorious. Britain readily complied, and the Arabs fought the war against the Ottomans on Britain's side with the sole desire to establish an Arab nation-state. By the way, Britain makes the same promise to Jewish Zionists. This double contract can clearly be seen in a letter sent by British Foreign Minister Balfour to the Jewish Rothschild family at the time. Sharing the aspirations of the Zionists, Britain looks favorably on the establishment of a homeland for the Jews in Palestine and will do its best to achieve this. After the war, Britain took over Palestine and Iraq, and Britain betrayed Palestine and honored the Jews' promises. A Jew was appointed as the general manager of Palestine. At that time, Jews came to Palestine in large numbers to escape the Nazi Holocaust. In the beginning, the Palestinian people accepted the Jews, but as the flood of Jews took the lead in the country, the Palestinian people felt a sense of crisis, and thus the conflict with the Jews began. No one is responsible. Arabs began a large-scale uprising against Jews in earnest in 1936, and this conflict continues to this day, about 100 years later, through large and small wars. Meanwhile, many countries, including the United States and the United Nations, they came forward to mediate the conflict, but in the first place, they had one land, and if they retreated, they were two peoples with no place to live. Conflict is bound to continue. What responsibility do Western powers such as Britain, Germany, and France, who sowed the seeds of all these conflicts, bear for the bloody fight between the two peoples that lasted for a century?